Some people take the straight path in life. But at Arizona State University, we respect your twists and turns. They make our online students more driven to excel in their professional lives. That's why our personalized suite of services empowers you with innovative resources and staff that sticks with you. Make your next turn with one of our 300-plus programs at ASU, #1 in innovation for 9 consecutive years. Visit us at asuonline.asu.edu to learn more.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Tax day is coming.
Oh, no.
But if you sign up for Robinhood Gold's IRA with a 3% match, you can get up to $195 for the 2023 tax year.
Oh, yeah.
Sign up at Robinhood.com/boost by tax day to get the biggest contribution match on the market. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Robinhood Financial, LLC, member SIPC.
Welcome to the Dragon's Lair. Hello and welcome to the Dragons Lair podcast, the podcast all things Dragons RFC and rugby in the region. I'm Jamie, hope you're all well, and with me, as always, is Gavin Thomas. How are we, Gav?
I'm very well, Jamie. I've kind of offset Wales's performance on the week was the fact that Edinburgh are currently top of the Indigo Premiership. So, you know, it's they give with one hand, take with the other.
There we are. And it's not all bad, is it? Not all bad at all. I'm very excited about tonight because we have a very special guest with us, Gav. Very special guest. One of my favourite. It's not you this week. It's not you, I'm afraid. No. One of my favourite all-time Dragons players. So, undoubtedly one of the Dragons' best overseas signings. The South African lock who joined the Dragons from the Cheetahs back in 2014. He later went on to captain the club, making 115 Dragons appearances, 93 starts. That's very impressive, isn't it? 93 starts at 115 appearances. Fair play. Before leaving the Dragons in 2019 for a new adventure in France. It is, of course, Dragons legend, Rynard Landman. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yes, thanks for having me. It's good to hear all those stats back. I almost forgot them, all the matches I played in that 4.5 years. But yeah, it was good times indeed. But thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you. Pleasure's ours. So let's go back to the beginning then. Could you tell us about your journey into rugby from, back home in South Africa to the present day, joining the Dragons, and then your adventures in France?
Yes, I think you basically grow up with rugby in South Africa. Well, back when we were little, like here in the UK, the kids play in the streets, not as much now anymore, play in the streets, and your father played rugby and his mates played rugby, so you're always spelling the DP at the local club rugby. So you basically grow up with that, and when you're 9 years old, you go into school and everybody just plays rugby. I think there's groups of 65 children. There's not enough teams for everybody to play, but everybody just wants to play rugby because that's in the DNA really. So started back then. My dad at the time was a fullback fly-off, so naturally I played fullback fly-off as well till I was about 16 years old. I went on holiday then with my girlfriend at the time. It rained for 3 weeks. I sat in the caravan, ate a load of chips and burgers, and the next preseason they made me a second row, so which wasn't probably too bad because now I just retired from my 18-year professional career at second row. So yeah, so that went all well. Played rugby, played cricket. I was actually better in cricket than I was at rugby, to be honest. But the opportunity came after school to continue with my rugby career. I went to Potchefstroom University, Northwest University as it's called today. Rugby Institute, was there for a few years, and then played Cheetahs, Super Rugby. We did really, really well. In 2012, we played in the quarterfinals. I think actually Lynn Jones in just the game before the quarterfinals, we played against the Auckland Blues, and he was actually supposed to look at somebody else. He looked at, I think, another second row or back row, and I had a really, really good game in that match. I know there's a clip on YouTube where Rynard just smashes me out of the blind. He wins me. 3 phases later, I score a try and I do the lawnmower. But then they call the try back because of it was a forward pass. So all the celebration, everything for nothing. But yes, I played a good game that match, coming back to the story. And then, he basically offered me a contract, which I accepted. And I think that time in 2014, when I came, I actually only came late, 25th of July, I think I arrived, because there was also a transitioning. Is there going to be 4 regions, 3 regions, 2 regions? There was something going on in Welsh rugby back then as well. So I had to sit tight a bit. I had to sit tight a bit. Yes, I got here on my birthday, 24th. I actually flew on my birthday, 24th of July, got here. And then, like you said, I played 115 matches in a day. And then spent my last 4 years in the south of France, which was lovely as well.
Yeah, very different weather, I imagine. Newport and Carcassonne, they're quite different climates.
A little bit different. To be fair, I came back in end of May, and the weather's been really, really good up until last week. Last week it turned a little bit, but to be it was really, really good. I actually have to cut the grass. That's how I measure it. There's a little bit of rain, a little bit of sun. If the sun grows, the grass just goes all the way. So I think I did my last cut last week now.
Oh, brilliant. So you say you're back now. So you're living in Rogerstone, is that correct?
Yeah, so my little one was born in Wales, 2016. At the time, we were renting a house in Pontprennau, small semi-detached house. Obviously, the house was too small then when he came along, and we bought a house in Rogerstone then. When I signed my new deal my new 2-year deal then, I also bought the house then. And then when we had to go to France, we rented that out because we always knew we wanted to come back.
Yeah.
So came back then. My family came back last September because he started year 1 then in High Cross, and my missus started working then as well in a law firm in Newport. So it was good to come back to something that was ours really. So it worked out well for us.
Do you think, Rynard, there's comparisons between the rugby culture of South Africa and the rugby culture of South Wales?
Just the passion of the people share about the rugby, and over here, obviously, everything's club driven. They support their club where they grow up, where they grew up. And I remember everybody spoke about it all the time when I just got here. And they're not supporting the Dragons because it's called Newport Gwyn Dragons and all that stuff. So just the passion around that, I can understand, because South Africa is the same. I mean, before it turned completely professional, we had the regions, as you call them now, over in South Africa. That was exactly the same. It was the clubs that played. Dispatch Rugby played in the club finals, and Harlequins over there. So I understand it 100%. And just the passion, it's absolutely crazy. It's nice, and that's why we all love the game.
Absolutely. And how did you find playing for Dragons? In terms of you've played for a lot of clubs, you've played in South Africa, you've played in Wales, you've played in France. How does the support compare? How does the club itself compare?
Oh, when I first got here, it was obviously strange. It was different. In South Africa, we play stadiums that's 50,000, 55,000 seater. There's always about 5,000 people, but it looks empty. So when you rock up at Rodney Parade, then and there's 5,000 people there, and the open stand singing, and it's a good vibe. Yeah. It's really, really good, and they make a noise. It's hostile for the opposite team. So that was really, really good. I enjoyed my time playing at Rodney Parade. We didn't have the pitch we have now. I think they stopped.
It was a bulk.
They stopped one of our games because they were afraid somebody's going to drown. I think it was in the LB Cup against, I can't remember who.
Newcastle, I think it was.
Yes,
I think it was Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had to stop the game. I think it's one photo of me. I was like standing with my hand on my head like that. I'm completely full of mud. It was crazy. So that aspect, it was a little bit different. Obviously, playing in Bloemfontein with the Cheetahs where it never rains, you have to basically go on a week-long pray for rain to let God send down some water, otherwise all the crops die. So coming over here then, over Christmas, it was just chucking down knives and forks, like let's say in Welsh, isn't it? So yeah, it was exciting. it was different. It took a little bit of time to adapt to that, but once we got going, it was lovely. I enjoyed every minute.
Right, that's really good to know, because you were a huge fan favourite of Rodney Parade, and of course there were highs and lows during your time with us. But are there any particular games that stand out for you as a Drag? Any particular performances from yourself or great moments you were involved in? I mean, I'm guessing Gloucester away in Europe would be one of those, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that was good. The first Boxing Day that I played, we played the Blues away. We won them. We beat them. We won that game. Yeah, that was a huge game. I think it's the first time the Dragons beat the Boxing Day, the Blues over there. So that was quite special. I remember that game because TRT got injured in the warm up. He had to go off, and Elliot D was still young. He had to start, and he scored 2 tries that game. That was quite special. Stade Francais away when we beat them over there. That was good because I had Mornay Stein, Digby Aoni, U-Pile, the Australian second row. They had a stacked team, and we went up there, and that was class. I remember all the games I remember little bits for after or in the game. And then what happened that is Jason Tubby couldn't travel that game. I don't know. That was the time his dog had his passport or something else. He lost his passport or something happened over there. But then Angus O'Brien had to start, and he was still young again, but that's before he left for the Scholars in, and he played an awesome game.
He was good.
On the bus, he was really good.
Yeah.
And on the bus on the way back, he got the mic in front, and Angus went, "There's only one Jason Tubby." He sang that. Really, I just played a good game. I was about to start, but yeah, that was really, really class. And then obviously, like you said, the Gloucester game, that was against all odds. That was just awesome feeling. Jolly Davis scoring in the corner from that maul. And then is it also Elliot that got it? No, Elliot was celebrating. Somebody got the turnover at the end there, and then they blew the game in our favour, and we won that game. And obviously then we had to go to Montpellier and play against the 13 Springboks. It didn't end well for us then.
Yeah, Charlie Davis with the try, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
He scored the try, yeah.
And I always remember that image. It was you, it was Brock Harris, it was Sal Pretorius, it was Carl Mayer. There was a South African contingent at the club at the time, wasn't it? So that must have been pretty cool to have those guys there as well.
You know what we did there? We did that. Remember, just before that, it was the Cricket World Cup, and there was a song that John Bravo, and they did like Bravo is a champion, Gailey is a champion, and they did a little move like that, and then we sang all the players from 1 to 50 who went like Phil Price is a champion, Elliot is a champion. We did all that. Dragon is a champion. And then they took that photo with us while doing that song. It was just awesome experience. And I mean, the way fans are still, when I speak to them, they speak about that game and the noise they made over there and the victory we got over there was special.
Yeah, it really was a special day, wasn't it? Fair play. So you left the Dragons in 2019 to play in France. I think you went on loan, didn't you, first of all, to a club whose name I can't pronounce. It was before Carcassonne. Can you remind me of the club you played?
Yeah, it's Angoulême. So Dorian Jones was at the stage. I don't know, at that time I didn't really play. I got frozen out a little bit. I had to play a few games for Newport. So I thought, listen, my son was just born. This is not looking. I have to be a little bit what do you call it? Actively looking to I have to stop my career now. I have to go on. So I asked him, listen, can I go on loan? I got in touch with Dorian. He spoke to the coach, sent some of my clips through. And then, they picked me up on loan. And at the same time, I think the first week that I trained there, they wanted to sign me for a long-term 3-year contract. But then I already had the contract offer with Carcassonne. And I already told them yes. I will go there. So, the French are so emotional, man. They just because I trained well. I didn't even play a game yet. I really played well or trained well. And the president went if you stay here, I'll build you a house. You can rent the house out after you leave us. And he was offering me stupid stuff just to stay there. But I didn't want to go back on my word because I said, listen, yes to the other club. I didn't want to do that. And I think we parted ways on a good. I didn't burn any bridges because I don't believe in that. And then now when I retired, that Angoulême actually phoned me again. Now while I was in Wales, they wanted me to listen here. They've got a second row injury.
Oh, right.
Do you want to come help us out for another 6 months? And I said, well, can't really leave my little one and my wife alone here in Wales. So thanks, but no thanks. So I try to keep a good relationship wherever I go. And like I said, I don't want to burn bridges with everybody. Life is too short to be too serious. So
are Are you fully retired now, Rynard? It's no more rugby or...
Yeah, I'm not going to play again. I don't think so. I needed a break. I just saw Tyrone Morris actually up in Newport while at Basel, because when they heard I'm coming back, they wanted me to come play for Newport. I played for them before I left, obviously, and I told him I need a rest because in the last 8 years I played like the 4.5 years, like I did 115 games, and then the 4 years I was in Carcassonne, I played 93 games, and one of the seasons was cut in half because of COVID. So. And I was starting every game, playing 60 to 80 minutes every game. And I just needed a break, really. It was like almost 200 games in the last 8 years. So I needed just to step away a little bit from it. But I did. I went to the Blue Scarlets game, the first preseason friendly, and I saw them play under the lights. And I thought, oh, I do miss this a bit. So ask me this again in 2 months' time, and we can have another chat about it.
Yeah. I retire every season, but end up playing. But then, I don't think I play quite the same standard as yourself.
Yeah, all right. You have to. I probably should. You'll never really let it go. But you don't want to either.
No.
I mean, I've learned so much, and like you guys said, in the 3 different countries that you're involved in, you learn different styles and different ways they look at the game, and I'll definitely find a way to give back to the youngsters as well. Where I am at the moment, my little one's 7 now. He's just starting rugby, so although saying that I need a bit of structure, I won't be able to coach 7, 8-year-olds. I need 16 and up.
I coach under 10s. The idea of structure is,
yeah, it's no.
It doesn't look like rugby a lot of the time.
What was it like being coached by Lynn Jones, right? It seems to me like you had a good relationship with him and Kingsley Jones as well. You talked about being frozen out there. I was going to mention that. That seemed to happen when Bernard Chapman came to the club. What was your relationship like with those different coaches, and why do you think it didn't quite click with Bernard?
I don't know. Lynn was really, really great. He's the one that brought me over. He gave me an opportunity to build myself a life in the UK. I mean, my son was born here. We're happy here. That's the way we are here. So he gave me an opportunity. So I'll forever be grateful for him. And we really did well when he was there, and Kingsley was a forwards coach. We really, really did well. I think we won 10 or 12 on the bounce over Christmas. We really did well. So that was really, really good. Obviously, he's funny, and you hear all the stories about him. He does stuff, and he dries himself off before games with my towel, and he stands up behind the table. He doesn't have his pants on. That's just his character, but that makes it special as well. That makes it. He's got a good relationship with the people around him. So that was great. He left then. Kingsley took over. That was good. I was captain under Kingsley as well. We really got along well. And actually under him, I signed my new 2-year deal because he just signed a new 2 or 3 year deal, and then I signed on as 2 years. Went on holiday then, and then when I came back, Kingsley wasn't there anymore, and WRU took over in that period. Rynard was there, and I don't know. I can't tell you what happened, and I don't know on whose toes I stepped, because the favorite I was when the first 3 years before I signed my deal, and when I came back from it, like something happened somewhere, and I don't know. You can speculate what about, but I'm not going to do that. But something happened there then, and it wasn't a good environment. I think we were 7 or 8 South Africans at that stage, and all of them left one by one. I mean, I think Pat Howard, and he was our leading try scorer that year, last year before we re-signed. After that, Carl Meyer, Sorrel was third. So there was a lot, but then all of a sudden one had to leave. And at the end of the day, it was me and Brock left, and I thought, listen, or I need to stop now, like I mentioned earlier, or I need to support this little one. He's only 2 years old, 1.5 years old, so I would like him to see me still play rugby. So I had to go to France then. It was the natural option to go there then to France because I was 32 at that age stage, yeah. So to look to move around in the UK, almost had a gig with Ulster. Ulster was really, really close to signing me to go there for a year and a half. But then obviously they have to look internally as well to see if there's a young second row, Irish second row coming up, and if I'm not going to block anybody. And I think somebody moved from Leinster then to them, and I got basically blocked like that. And then I moved to France, which worked out well for me. I mean, now I speak a third language. I came back with a business degree, and I made loads of connections over there, and the lifestyle was, and I can ski now as well. I could never put on skis. I can ski now as well. So it was
I,
lovely.
I love Belfast, but I think if someone gave me the choice of living in Carcassonne or Belfast, I know where I'd fall.
Yeah. No, Carcassonne was really, really lovely. Obviously, very difficult at the beginning, like it is with the language. But
Yeah.
I'm just a very cultural person. I try to fit in everywhere that I go. If you put me in Wales, I'll eat Welsh cakes and drink double dragon pale ale. That's what I'll do. If you put me in the south of France, I'll eat frog legs and red wine. That's what I'll do. And I think they appreciate it, you know. And yeah, as soon as I could understand them and communicate with them, I was eating with my neighbors twice, 3 times a week. And like that, I learned to speak French, because you can only speak French that much if you do the lessons. You learn the conjugation and all the stuff where we don't really pick up the slang and how they communicate. Yeah, so it was a great experience, and we actually did well in the rugby as well. Played the quarterfinal for the first time in the club's history, so that was good, with all the band and the flares and the stuff going. Like obviously completely different on a different level with the support over there. But yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, the life rugby gave me, I couldn't have dreamt of when I was little. I came from a small little town in South Africa. Everybody just stays there and basically works at the Volkswagen or a place that makes tires. That's what they do. So for me, to be able to travel the world, see people. I mean, we went to Russia, to Moscow to play rugby. I mean, who does that? That was lovely. So yeah, I'm forever grateful for that. And like I said, forever grateful for Lynn Jones, who gave me the opportunity to come to the Dragons back in 2014.
Good on them. Fair play. So you talk about France there, obviously playing in the Pro D2. We've seen some former Dragons players now. We've seen Ross Moriarty, he's playing in Pro D2 with Brive, and Sam Davis has gone and played for Grenoble.
Yeah.
How does it compare playing in France to playing in Wales? What would you say the difference is? I suppose, is it a physicality, and how does it compare, the leagues?
The impacts are a lot bigger because you got generally bigger boys over there. The game is a lot slower, so the impacts are bigger, and there's a lot more individual brilliance over there. So all of a sudden, there's a line break out of nothing, or offload out of nothing. So you have to look and play a little bit more rather than structure. My first few games that I went to France, I knew, okay, we're going to put up the 8 man, he's going to carry, so I'll go around the corner and carry again. And 2 out of the 3 times, that 8 will rather do a silly offload, like the Bill Mata style, something like that, or we'll break the line. And I was always late on the support line. I was never there to really get the offload. So I quickly had to realize, listen, stop being so structured and look and play rather. There's still your structure, obviously, you got your game plan or whatever, but expect the unexpected all of the time. And then, not as technical at all, really. But yeah, it's we score great tries over there. There's big hits over there. Sometimes I feel like when, especially me and Dorian, we were at the stadium when the Dragons played Perpignan, and I think Perpignan played their third team on that. I think 12 of those players didn't even play one game that year. And we saw the conditioner Ryan before the game, and we said, listen, you'll have these boys today. And they just played too structured. And the Perpignan guys never played together before. They just threw the ball around. They scored some awesome tries, and actually they won that game convincingly, which I thought, oh, that's just crazy, because obviously the Dragons are a lot better team, a lot better coach than them, a lot better individuals than them. So it's a weird one, but individual brilliance, and it's not as structured over in France than it is over here.
In terms of playing in that league, Rynard, it's got a bit of a reputation for being not always the most law-abiding in terms of rugby. There's a lot of foul play. Did you experience any eye gouging or biting or anything like that?
No, not to that extreme. I think back in the day when it wasn't televised as much as it is now, because all the games it's on TV now. And then obviously there's a lot of money being pumped into that leagues now as well. I think all the teams in the Pro D2 have got a bigger budget than the 4 Welsh regions, so it's a business for them as well. So they can't sign players and pay for players, and they get banned for 6 months or stuff like that. So not as much, but we did fight 4 games a year basically, but then nobody gets sent off really. But nothing, no eye gouging and biting, and no silly stuff. But like I said, the French are emotional, so they like to be like bombastic and shout, and then you just tend to fight and hit each other a little bit, and then it's over. The refs don't really have control over that.
That's fair enough. Have you been paying any attention to the URC at all right now? Do you ever check the results? Because I just wanted your view on obviously the South African franchises now are in the URC. I just want to know what do you think of the URC now as a product with the South Africans coming in? Do you think it's a much better product now?
I think for them it's really, really good. If you look at the structural type of things, the physicality, getting used to playing in the northern hemisphere, because they would probably just play 4 weeks a year really when they come on in November test day. So stuff like that. And I think for the teams over here as well, I have a lot of people complain about the traveling. It's far to travel, away fans, it's far to travel.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I think it works. You have to get better as a team if you bring in teams that is at a higher level, basically. Because they used to Super Rugby playing against the Crusaders, against the Auckland Blues, against all those people. There's quality outfits. But the teams around them, you have to be better. Otherwise, you're just going to be bottom of the table all the time. So definitely the teams have to pick up. And I think they did 100%. I mean, just look at the Dragons now. The preseason game, they're doing really well. And I'm at Rodney Parade. I'm at Rodney Parade on Saturday, and hopefully we'll get a good win over Edinburgh. I'll be there supporting the boys. So yeah, I like the tournament. A lot of people complain about the European as well. That's a bit frowned upon because it's a European competition, the Heineken Cup, for them being able to be in there. So that's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, I think the URC in general, I think it's good for all the parties involved.
From a South African point of view, do you think it's better than when you were in the Super Rugby? Because, that was a very different terms of travel. It's long enough to travel to the UK, but going to New Zealand, going to Australia.
Yeah, that was difficult. I did 3 tours over there, and that was really difficult to travel over there, especially when you get to the knockout stages. But even though, because you fly the 11, 12 hours, but then there's a 10-hour time difference as well. So it takes you about 3 days really to climatize, and you have to do all those sort of stuff just to stay awake and sleep at the right times. And you get to game day, then you're actually still a little bit tired. So stuff like that was a little bit weird. And especially we went to the quarterfinals in 2012, like I said, we played against the Brumbies, and we had to fly in late just to try and really neutralize the time differences and the sleep and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot better for the players. I mean, they travel a lot more now. I don't just do a 3-4 week tour at a time, or they travel a few lot. But I mean, it's the same 1 or 2 hour difference in the winter, so it's not that bad for them at all.
Fair enough. Okay, then let's talk Rugby World Cup then. You must be pretty happy with how your Springboks are doing. Doing all right?
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn. I'm 3 countries now. I've got France out, Wales out now. I've got 1 out of 3 in, so yeah, they played really well. Really impressive. I mean, I was at the game here where they played Wales before the World Cup, and just the amount of pressure they put on Wales was enormous. It was really big, and that's what they did throughout on the All Blacks the week after in Twickenham as well. They just put so much pressure on them, and with the line speed, they just turn the power points. You have to break. I mean, that's what I think against Wales over here. What they did was they intercept try, they had to kick through, and I'm not sure whether Welsh play tried to pass the ball in 22, but that comes from pressure in my eyes. If you on pressure all the time, you try to force stuff to just get away, get rid of the pressure, and then little mistakes like that happen. But yeah, the game on the weekend against France was, I think the first half was the best rugby I've ever seen in my life, and then second half was a chess match. That was the second half, and we knew it's going to be like that because you had Faf there who kicks the ball, we had Andre Pollard coming on. We had Willie Leroux. If Mane Libbo goes off, we had Willie Leroux trying to organize the backline. So it was a chess game in the second half. But that first half was unbelievable.
Do you think bringing Pollard on was a key element in it? Because Mane Libbo offers a lot in terms of kind of open play, but Pollard is a goal kicker of the highest caliber. Do you think that made the difference in that second half?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and because they usually, when they bring on their bomb squad, when they bring on their forwards, they get 2 or 3 more scrum penalties in general. And with having him there, you can take that 3 points with that fresh legs on the front row coming up. It's 100% was vital for the strategy of Rossi and them. And I see they picked the same team for this weekend as well. So they probably might go in with a little attacking mindset at the beginning and then try to finish the game on the second half with the same personnel.
Do you think playing against England will be different to France or won't it? Because England will kick the ball a lot more. They won't have that kind of creativity in attack. So do you think South Africa's approach will be slightly different, or will it just be exactly the same, just pressurise them, force errors?
They'll try and pressurise them, in my opinion, playing their half, because obviously they're playing their Ford's not playing, but playing their drop goal game, that first game of the World Cup where they scored one. So that's always up here. But for me, I think they'll kick a lot more. They're trying to, because I can't see them breaking down the South African defence from their own half. No. They want to get in South Africa's half then and play for that drop goal, play for that penalties, which they can do pretty well as well. So it'll definitely be a territorial game in my eyes. But then again, they're playing Rynard and Lebok at the beginning, which is not the best kickers of the ball. So I don't know. I don't know if there's got to be a blue light and a red light rather than an orange and a red light at Russia. We never know what's going to happen. No?
Razi up to his tricks, and I don't know if you saw this stat. So South Africa named their team for England. It's their most experienced team ever. 895 caps. That is incredible, isn't it? The experience and the depth the Springboks got is just incredible. So here's the question for you then, Ryan. Can they go back-to-back and win these World Cups? I mean, I know they got to go for England first, and I don't think that'll be as easy as some people are saying. I'm very wary of England. I think they've got a massive performance in. And so what do you think? Can they do it? Can the Springboks do it?
I think so, 100%. I think they got the right group of people together. They got believe in themselves, and they got, like Siakolisi said after the match, they got the whole nation. They're playing for that. That's where they focus on. They're playing for all that. So they'll be managed this week because that was a hell of a game. They'll probably just do a little bit of a pool recoveries, walkthroughs, strategizing. But they've been together for a long time now as well. And I think was it 13 of the 15 players that played in the last World Cup's final? So they know how to play big games. They know how to close games out. So they can definitely go back to back. Like I said, two big hurdles left. England is yet to have a great match. Like they played a last World Cup against All Blacks in the semi-final. If they dish up that rugby, it's going to be another one like. There's going to be another one like France, South Africa the weekend. But I don't think that South Africa will underestimate them at all. They're too professional for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe you're involved with a management company. Do you want to tell us about that? It's Legacy Sports?
Yeah, Legacy Sports Management. So I came back December because my missus was already here. So I came back to my partner that's in the Legacy with me. He's got Westgate VIP as well, so he leads the scores to all the sports people. He asked me, do I want to become an agent? Because since before COVID, he wanted to open up this thing. He just waited for the right person to come along, and especially with my connections in South Africa now and in France. And I just came back with my business degree, so we saw the opportunity, and I told him, nah, I don't want to be an agent. It's not something I want to be involved in. I haven't had good representation ever in my career. Which is a little bit sad. So I don't really want to get involved with that. One guy has never got something good to say about another guy. I don't want to put my name to that. And he went like, but that's exactly why I want to open this, because there's a window of opportunity for us to change it. And I told him, okay, listen, if I do something like this, we need to look after the players off the field, because I promise you, all the icebreakers, I'm quite a big guy, so it's difficult to speak to me. I think I'm quite intimidating now when I train in Everlast Gym. So they knew I played rugby. So the first question is, so what you going to do now? And 95% of them don't know. And that's the reality of it. So I told them, listen, we need to look after them. We're talking to the young players, and rather than seeing me or us as an agency, look at us as a management company. So in 15 years, when you retire and we're asking you, what do you do? What are you going to do now? Your answer, our vision is for your answer to be, I had a Legacy Sport. They looked after me. I've got 3 properties. I've got $1 investments. I've got work experience at this place. I can basically go and I'll be fine. I won't go from £80,000 down to £24,000, and my expenses stay the same. So I told them, this is what we need to do. If we move players abroad, I'll go with them. I'll set up all the council tax over there. I'll do the electricity, because I went there through COVID. My missus didn't even have an insurance card. Imagine she had to go to the hospital on COVID,
Yeah.
I would have been gone now. I thought you have to pay for that. I mean, what are you going to do? Sell the house in Rogerstone to pay for the medical bill. So small little stuff like that normal people don't see, and it just gets swept under the carpet. So looking after the player, managing the careers off the field, so they can focus on the field. That's what we want to do, and yeah, it's going well. It's me, Chris. We employed a girl she worked at a recruitment company in London. We headhunted her. She's working for us now, and she's herself the Olympic sprinter for Malta. She's a Maltese record holder. So she's player head of commercial and then player transition. So yeah, it's going well. Chris, my partner, he's got his license signed off now. It's been 4 months now that we're actively operating. And I'm busy speaking to WRU now because I had to have a 3-month pause in between because I couldn't be involved with a club and be an agent at the same time. So that cool down period's basically finished now. And then I will probably do my exam within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, excellent. Well, good luck with that. It's brilliant what you do. I think it's good to give advice, like you said, because you never had it, and it's important to pass that knowledge and experience on, isn't it? Especially to younger 100%. Players.
And it's not only here. It's the same happening in France, same happening in South Africa. You don't because the dream's getting sold to everybody, isn't it? Oh, you're going to be the next Alan Wynne-Jones. You're going to be the next Shane Williams. You'll be able to retire. Victor Matfield, go into presenting afterwards. But the reality is only 1 or 2% of the people are really able to do that after, and what does the other 98% do? And we want to look after them and set the standard how our stuff should be done. So hopefully we get right what we visionize in this thing, but we're working hard every single day. I mean, up into England, we're driving to Gloucester, Exeter, Northampton next week. We've seen the 4 Welsh regions now. Hopefully soon we can go to Japan and America to see how they do stuff. And it's just being in the different environments and see what works for them and trying to bring everything together.
Oh, fantastic. So before you go then, Rynard, I want to get some feelings from you about the Dragons. So Dragons have gone into private ownership now. They're out of the clutches of the WRU. David Butcherson's consortium finally managed to get that deal done. Got Dave Flanagan there, good young coach. They made some good recruitment, like Dan Lydiate coming on board, which will add a bit of experience. What are your hopes and expectations for the Dragons this season? Do you think they can finally avoid being Wales's bottom region, if you want to put it that way? Can they kick on, do you think?
I think so, and I think it's 100% possible this season. I think they were the only team that trained with full squad throughout the whole preseason. And not full squad, obviously, they had nationals away, but they actually still had 30, 34 players, no, not 12, playing touch trophy 5-a-side. That will be massive for them. They kept the core group together. I met that Dave Flanagan a few times. Wonderful guy. He seems like he's got the change room. Which is a really, really big positive. And everybody wanted the private ownership. So the stuff off the field is really starting to fall into place as well. We've got the investors in. Graham Bradbury, he's operating the other investor stuff. I know him very, very well. So everybody's positive off the field, and if that's right, it's not like a shadow hanging over you. And I would love to see them being the best Welsh region. That'll be crazy. Imagine that Newport Beer Festival at the end of the year.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure, isn't it, Gav?
Oh, absolutely. But I've got one last question right now before you go. We at Dragons, I think we really need a big, strong, aggressive second row to replace you. Who do you think who should take over from you? Who is a big, aggressive second row that you can think of right now?
I'm not sure, really. I think the player they wanted to sign from the Pumas, that unfortunately couldn't come because of personal reasons. I think he was a really, really there is a lot. They changed the criteria, which is really, really good for the Welsh regions. Because when I came over, I had to have 20 Super Rugby caps before I was eligible to come into the country to play over here. But they can recruit from the Currie Cup now. So they can probably pick up a quality player that's not getting same as a quality as in the URC, maybe playing for the Bulls, but it's not getting that game time. And they can probably pick him up for half the price now because he's got half the experience, basically, if you understand. So I think it's going to be really, really good for them. But then again, if you bring somebody in from outside, it has to bring through the youngsters, the Welsh youngsters, and that's what it's about. I mean, when I played Screechy was there, Corey was there. They both got kept above me then, which I felt like it was really, really good. So almost I felt like I did my job. So wherever you bring in overseas players, it has to be to bring the young Welsh the guys through. And speaking with you, Bevan, he's obviously involved with the pathway and the performance at the WRU now. That's the main aim, and it has to be the main aim of the WRU. I think there's space for 32 foreign players or non-Welsh players, but I don't think they need that much. They just need to be clever of who they bring in to bring through the Welsh players. And I'm excited, especially if they got a new deal now on the table for the next few years. We know nothing's going to rock the ship now, so we can focus on the rugby and rebuild. I see Gatlin wants to stay on till the next World Cup, so with him in charge of the wheel up top there, we can filter through the same systems through the 4 regions. That'll be awesome. So onwards and upwards, like I used to say, onwards and upwards.
Absolutely. I mean, as a Dragons fan, I've been saying that for years. Onwards and upwards. The only way is up, isn't it? The only way is up.
100% going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Rynard. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on the pod. I really appreciate you giving up your time and joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rynard.
I'll probably see you a few home games. I'll be in the crowd, and I'm not drinking anymore, so I'll probably have a sparkling water in my hand. But I'll sing the song. He knocked it on. He knocked it on. I'll be there. You hear me?
Oh, I bloody hate that song. I know as a Dragons fan, I shouldn't say it. Honestly, I don't like it. I'm probably the only one that doesn't like it, but fair enough.
Yeah,
brilliant. Thanks again, Rynard.
Thank you, Rynard.
Okay, no worries. Ciao.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye now. There we are, the legend, Rynard Landman. That was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
I've never known a person to look massive on Zoom, but he was massive in the flesh, but he looked massive on the screen as well. It's quite an impressive figure of a man.
He's a big guy, isn't he? It's fair to say he is a big guy. I tell you what, man, if Dragons had an injury crisis a lot, because he's still able to play.
He's in shape.
He looks in very good shape. I wouldn't mind Dragons turning to him, just say, look, right, how can you play a couple of games or just come on the bench?
Yeah. Well, that.
No, I enjoyed that because he is a Dragons legend. He was one of my favourite players, and I was gutted out, because he did get frozen out by Jackman. It was a real shame what happened there. He became a mainstay at the club. Then Jackman came in and all these other changes, and then all of a sudden he was frozen out because we've had so many overseas players at the Dragons that haven't been valued for money. Mm-hmm. And I'm being polite there by saying that. I'm not going to name names, but we've signed some real flops from overseas.
We know who we're talking about, though.
I'm sure the listeners will know. They could probably reel off a whole host of names.
Yes.
Rynard was, along with Brock Harris as well, and South Torres, they were brilliant value for money,
And I think they were the right kind of players to bring in for Dragons. They weren't huge names in South Africa, but they were experienced, strong players, kind of physical, and just the kind of players you want to get from South Africa. You don't want to be looking at the big names. You want to be kind of, there is a crop of players out there, but Rynard was right as well. You need to focus on bringing the younger players through, which I think at Dragons we are doing now. I think we are reaping rewards that perhaps some of the other regions are not currently.
Yeah, we got some very talented youngsters at the club. I'm positive about the future, and I'm positive about this season. So, it was great to talk to him. There we are. Then Rynard Landman, lovely guy, Dragons legend. Right. Unfortunately, we won't dwell on it too much because I did talk about this on the Rap Pod, and I don't want to talk about this too much. But Wales did lose last weekend. They are out to the Rugby World Cup. They lost 29-17 to Argentina in that quarterfinal in Marseille. Just a quick overview from you, Gav. Your thoughts on that game and Wales's World Cup campaign as a whole. Do you feel it was expectations were met, or do you feel underwhelmed? How do you think about it as a whole?
If you'd said to me before the tournament, we'll get to a quarterfinal, I'd have bitten your hand off.
Yes.
So I think I can't now retcon what I felt and say, oh, well, we could have beaten Argentina. We shouldn't have beaten them on that game because we played the wrong game in the second half. Our discipline was poor as well, and our line-out didn't function. And because our line-out didn't function, we threw away the opportunities we did get because we weren't running through that defence. It had to be a territory game, and when the line-out fell apart, I think the chances went, and Argentina took the chances and we didn't. There was our opportunity in the second half when Rios made the break and we put Josh Adams over in the corner. That ball should have gone quicker, sooner. Yeah. But it was one of those things, isn't it? And there's going to be a Dragon in the semi-final, I suppose. So we'll take their positives out of that. What was your take on it, Jamie? Where did it go wrong for Wales?
So I said on the Rat Pod, I think the game was lost in that first half. Mm-hmm. I just can't believe how many chances Wales blew. And I think we was only 4 points up when we at the break. And I just think that if we taken those chances, say, for example, if we gone 17-0 up, I think that's game over. I don't see Argentina coming back from that. You had those 3 botched lineouts in Argentina's 22. Those could have been converted. Mm-hmm. You had Dan Bigger missing. I'm not going to say an easy penalty, but I felt it was kickable. I felt that was a penalty Dan Bigger should have scored.
What you would have expected him to kick. I managed to watch the game in a pub where the TV stopped working, so I ended up having to watch the game on my own phone. And I was in the only pub in all of Sussex, I reckon, that had Argentinian people in it. So it was quite a strange experience. But I think we could have won it, but we didn't take the chances when they were offered. And then in the second half, and I think when we lost, the backs became really underpowered when we had to make those enforced changes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we looked tired as well. Again, I said this on the Rat Pod. I think Wales had done a lot of defending in that tournament, and there was a lot of tackles being made. You had Bigger on bloody one leg for the last quarter of the game. I mean, I wrote on Twitter, even if we had won, there's no way we would have beat New Zealand. And Gatland have said this week there was a whole host of players out injured. It was him, Liam Williams, Luz Rees-Savage, Josh Adams, apparently. So, I mean, we would have just got absolutely trolleyed. Yeah. I mean, yes, it would have been nice to make the semi-final, but I think it would have been ugly because this seems to be the Wales way, doesn't it? In World Cups, we just seem to fall apart. The more we progress through the tournament, players stop dropping like flies. And that's become a common feed under Gatland, unfortunately.
But it was better than we expected, wasn't it? I was told by people, kind of knowledgeable people, that we wouldn't get out of the group and we'd be lucky to finish 4th. And,
yes,
we came top of the group. We won every game with a bonus, apart bizarrely from the one where we absolutely hammered Australia. We were poor against Portugal, but we were good in all the other games. Yeah, and the Argentina team wanted it. I don't think they're going any further. I think we're looking at New Zealand, South Africa final in all likelihood. But then, my predictions last week were all to cock. So.
Yeah, and I felt in that game as well, I felt maybe Elliot Dee should have had some involvement because, he lacks the physicality of the other hookers and around the park, but the line-out was always solid with Elliot. With Anscombe as well, I felt Anscombe was missed. There's no way Bigger would have played for that long on bloody one leg playing in the centre if Anscombe would be on the field, in my opinion.
And
I did feel for... I felt sorry for him, though. Intercept. It was... that was his fault.
No, it wasn't. Costello, he was trying something, Costello will become a good player. He isn't a good player now. Or he isn't that level of a player. He is a good player, I'm certainly not suggesting he's not a good player, but he's not that international level player now. He will become that, though. I am convinced of that. And he's going to have to be because he's the next cab on the rank, it would appear. And then, we'll talk about the squad for the Barbarians game, but then where are the other options at 10?
Yes, absolutely. We had that debate on Rap as well about the options for 10 because obviously Dan Bigger's retired now, Anscombe's not available. We haven't got the likes of Jared Evans in Wales anymore. We are going to be looking at Costello, but we will talk about the Wales. I don't want to talk about Rugby World Cup anymore because I was too upset now. The more I talk about it, because I am still really gutted about our exit for the World Cup.
I think it is gutting, but you have the fortune not to live in England. And, now I'm surrounded by people telling me that England are going to win. I don't have the good heart to tell them that they aren't going any further than this weekend. But
Oh, do you know what? I just got this horrible feeling. I'm not saying England will win, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if they did pull off a result. Because, like Rynard said then, remember that semi-final against New Zealand? England sort of coasted along, and all of a sudden they go brilliant in that semi-final.
But I think New Zealand and South Africa are different beasts.
Yeah.
England can do that. I'm not suggesting they can't, but there's a psychological toughness to that South African team. They won't crumble. They could have crumbled against France.
Yeah.
They did not crumble against France, and they should have, because the French team were electric. But they backed themselves, and as Rynard was saying, come that second half, and England are bringing on Joe Marler, who's a perfectly good prop forward. But he's going to, when the bomb squad come on and they are fresh and they are tough and they are just looking to get those scrum penalties for Pollard I just don't see how England win it, because they aren't running in tries from halfway line like France did.
No,
they aren't building multiple phases like France did, because that South African back row will disrupt every single rack for them. I just don't see where it comes from. And then kind of Ben Earl has had a very good World Cup. He's probably been England's best player. But is he gonna do anything against that South African back row? I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-English. I lived in London for 8 years. My daughter was born in England as well. She was born in Carshalton, so English roots there. But by Christ, I hope they don't win on Saturday night. I really don't want them to win. I'm sorry, I just don't. Right, okay, no more Rugby World Cup now.
It's finished as far as we're considered.
Let's stick with Wales, because they have announced their squad to face the Barbars. Now, they're playing on Saturday, November the 4th, which is the same day as Dragons travel to Cork to face the champions Munster. 7 Dragons have been called up. So Leon Brown, Ben Carter, Kai Evans, Dan Lydiard, Aaron Wainwright, Elliot Dee and Rio Dyer have been selected. I mean, it's not very good, is it? I mean, having this game at the same time as the regions, it's boggling, mind-boggling, isn't it?
Well, I went to the Gatland farewell thing in November 2019. Similar thing, kind of half-filled a Millennium, playing against a poor barbarian side. Terrible game of rugby. Johnny McNichol playing. Oh God, there's terrible footage. But don't get me started on Johnny McNichol. But the WRU aren't worried about the club game. They want to make money. It's farewell to Alan Wyn-Jones. We'll do it at an appropriate time. Don't do it when we've got off lucky because we're away. If we had all our players, we aren't beating Munster and Cork. So we've got away lucky. But Scarlets, I think, and Ospreys are both at home.
Ospreys will be in London playing the Sharks.
Oh yes, home. But
yes.
But that's the challenge, isn't it? It's the impact it will have on the regions. It'll be good fight. It'll be a fun day for people. It'll be a good game. It'll be great to say goodbye to Alan Wyn-Jones, but it's not doing the clubs any favors. Just honestly.
Yeah, I know. I wrote about this on Twitter today. I've got no problem with these games. I know a lot of supporters don't like these, Barbarians games or the games that are out of the test window. It does bring in much needed revenue, and that's absolutely fine. So I got no problem with this game, but the timing of it absolutely stinks. Our regions shouldn't be competing with the governing body, but that's what's going to happen this weekend. And about the Dragons going to Cork. I mean, it's a game we wouldn't have won anyway. Fine. I mean, that might sound negative, but my fear is we could get absolutely smoked, because it's tough enough going to face Munster as it is, but when you've lost 7 of your key players, I just fear we could get absolutely smoked there. But fingers crossed we actually be competitive,
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult to keep it super competitive, but I don't know. I think there's a strength in depth coming through now, isn't there? It's and I was thinking about this the other day. I had a very long and convoluted train journey, and I was just comparing the squads, the regions, and I think we've had the least impact. We've lost Moriarty, yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I think our squad looks all right. We've recruited well, and then you look at the state of some of the other regions, and you think, yeah, it could be a lot worse.
We are definitely the most stable out of the four regions.
100%.
There's the other three had to massively cost cut in, and they've lost a lot of experience of big names. Whereas, we've lost Will Rowlands, we lost Moriarty, Sam Davis, etc. But those were conscious decisions. Some of those players that were let go, and we haven't had the chaos and the disruption that other teams have had.
We've lost big salary players, only one of whom I thought brought anything close to the value that we were paying for them. And we've replaced them with players with something to prove, who want to be playing rugby.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
I think we've done the best business by quite some way. I would say going back to the Wales game, I think at least now it'll be a chance to give the Kieran Azaratis and the Ben Carters a bit of competitive international rugby as well, because they're the guys who are going to have to be playing rugby soon, aren't they? Because we need those forwards to be coming through, those younger forwards to be coming through.
But I talked about this on last week's pod, if you remember. Every time Leon comes back from injury, he's always called into Wales camp, and it really annoys me. Why can't they just let him stay at the Dragons, let him get a run of games under his belt, build up his fitness, build up his sharpness? It drives me nuts. Every single time he comes back from injury, straight to the Wales camp.
Gatland loves him, though, doesn't he? Gatland absolutely loves him.
I just wish he'd say, to Leon, right, Leon, you've been out for a little while now. You need to regain some form and fitness at the Dragons, and then I'll have a look at you then for the Six Nations. He doesn't need to be involved in this fixture. He doesn't. He doesn't need to be involved with the Barbars.
What it feels like, though, is, I don't know if you're a cricket fan, Jamie, but it's a bit like cricket, where being a county cricketer, if you get in the international setup, you're very, if you play for your county ever, it's very rare, and it's getting that way with rugby now, isn't it, for some players?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so let's move on to some Dragons news. There's been some interesting news. We've loaned not one, but two players to Cardiff over the past week. So we've loaned Max Clark, the centre, who we signed from Bath, and we've loaned homegrown prop Josh Reynolds. What are your thoughts on that, Gav?
I think it says more about Cardiff than it does about us, is my thoughts on it. We've had this chat this week, I think Josh is a perfectly good player, but he's probably fourth in pecking order for that loose edge position, so it makes great sense for him. He's going to get to play rugby. He's not going, there's not as many props in front of him, so it's good for him. Max Clark, I think we talked about him last week. Have we seen enough from him in the Dragon shirt? I don't know. Maybe this is a chance for him to kick on a bit, prove what, because in flashes, he looked good at Bath, I thought. So it's a chance for him to do that. So I think we're getting something positive out of it, because those guys will get a bit more game time than they would if they were in Newport. They're getting something positive out of it. What does it say about Cardiff, though, Jamie? What is Cardiff's situation if they're having to take our fourth choice loose said, and they're having to take a guy who's on the fringes of our side?
Well, they're low on numbers, clearly, aren't they? Beggars can't be choosers. But if you look at those players, they're both down the pecking order in their positions. So if we take Max Clark, for example, personally, I don't think he's had the impact that I expected him to have. I'm not saying he's been poor for the Dragons. He's been fine, but I expected a little bit more from him, to be honest with you. And then when you look at our midfield now, you've got Steph Hughes, Jack Dixon, and Ivan Owen, C.O. Tompkinson, right? Those are the senior options. Yeah. Let's not forget, we know Jared Rosser can play at 13. I don't particularly like him at 13, but he can play at 13. Corey Baldwin, he can play in the centre as well. And then we've got the kids, then we've got the likes of Joe Westwood and Harry Ackerman coming through. So the Dragons are very well stocked in the centre, which never used to be the case. No. We used to be very, very bare in the centre. Now, all of a sudden, we're stacked. So it'd be good for Max Clark, I think, to get some game time. And with Josh as well, you've got the likes of Rodri Jones, Rodrigo Martinez, who I expect to be the first choice at loose head. And we got Aki Selui as well. So, they're not going to be first choice for us this season. So it kind of makes sense. I mean, I prefer if they went to another club other than Cardiff, to be perfectly honest with you, because I know a few fans don't like us sending players to arch rivals. But there is an important point to make here. So those players won't be available to face Dragons next week. But Matthew Screech, who we have loaned from Cardiff, now he will be available to face Cardiff. And there's a reason for that. It's something to do with the longer loan agreement that we have with Screech. Because some people are confused, saying, why can Screech play against Cardiff, but Max Clark and Reynolds can't play against Dragons? It's something in the agreement. It's a different loan agreement to what those players have got. They won't be facing us.
No, it'll be wherever those clubs have negotiated, isn't it? You see it in football a lot. Lomani Lualua was on loan from Newcastle to Portsmouth, and he scored against Newcastle because I forgot to put a clause in over sticks in my head. I lived at Pompey at the time. So, will we see Matthew Screech running in 3 tries from the halfway line against Cardiff?
Oh, can you imagine? I'd absolutely love that. That would be fantastic.
Just the sight of Screechy actually running from the halfway line will be enough to get the old heart pounding.
Right, so that's a little bit of news there. 2 players on loan to Cardiff. So best of luck to them. I do hope they do well.
Well, I want them to play. I want them to play rugby, because they could come back better players.
Yeah. Dave Flag actually said in the Argus, I read the article this week, he was talking about it. He said, we can recall them at any time. If we need them, if we're injury, we can have them back. But they are, by the way, they're 1 month loans, these deals. They're only for 1 month. I expect them to be extended, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, unless Cardiff suddenly come across a crock of gold somewhere in their fine city, and be able to pay for a lot more players. They're operating on loose ends, aren't they?
Absolutely. Right then, let's talk about the game this week. URC, it's back, baby. URC equals best league, depending on who you speak to. So it's Dragons versus Edinburgh at Rodney Parade on Saturday. It's a 3:05 kickoff. Now, the game is live on Viaplay, but if you haven't got Viaplay, then S4C is going to show a full match replay on the Sunday. I think it's 4:00, I've seen. So, if you haven't got Viaplay, you can watch the game on S4C the next day. We haven't got any of our Wales players available, but Edinburgh, I don't know if you've seen this, they do have some of their Scottish internationals available for this game. Would you believe it?
I thought they might do, because I saw Finn Russell was available for Bath last week.
Yes. So they have Javan Sebastian, remember him, former Scarlet?
Robbed from the heart of Wales.
Yes. We've got Sam Skinner is going to be available from Luke Crosby and fly half Ben Healy, who I like is a very, very good player. So they're going to feature for Edinburgh, so they will have some of their internationals back. How do we feel about this game then, Gav? It's really important, at home, first game. Dragons desperately need to get off to a good start, don't they? Especially with 4 of the first 5 games at home.
Yeah, I'm interested now, because I was unsure whether or not we'd have any of the Welsh players available. So I'm interested as to what the squad might look like. Maybe Leon being available to Wales suggests he might be available. Which would be... What do you think the squad might look like, Jamie? You're a man with your finger on the Newport pulse.
So you just broke up for a minute then, Gav. I didn't quite catch your caption.
Sorry, I was just saying, what do you think the squad might be? You're a man in the know.
Oh, gosh. I mean, if I had to guess, I think will probably be Martinez, Hooker, Bradley Roberts. I don't know if Leon's going to be available. Part of me thinks because he's in the Wales squad now, where they keep him in cotton wool and have him for Wales instead of, playing him in this game. But I would personally start Lloyd Fairbrother, but have Leon coming off the bench, because I think he can make a really good impact coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, second row, this is just me guessing off the top of my head. I mean, you could go Screech and Ben Carter. The back row, you could probably go Keddy. Not sure who at 7. Oh, no, I think actually playing at blindside, they might go for George Knott or Lonsdale. and then have Keddy at 7 and Ollie Griffiths at 8, because I know that Flanagan has spoken about playing Ollie at 8.
Yeah.
For this
and
season.
He seemed, and of what we've seen in the pre-season friendlies, he's given her a bit of go, hasn't he? He's a big, strong runner. He's quite explosive. I think 8 will suit him nicely.
Yeah, I mean, halfbacks. Well, we know that Angus O'Brien is probably going to be starting 10. It's a flip of a coin between Rodri and Dave Black. I'd probably start with Rodri, and then, like I said, with Black, you've got that sip and energy coming off the bench, and then I expect it'd be, if Dixon's fit, I think he'll start with Steph Hughes, or it could be Seal Tompkinson, and then on the wings, then you probably have Jared and Ashton if he's fit, and then you'll fall back. I'm guessing maybe Kai Evans will play. I'm not going to guess the bench. That was just a team off the top of my head. I mean, it could be completely wrong.
But I think, that's probably right. The second row might be slightly different. The back row might be slightly different. I think elsewhere you're probably right, aren't you? And that's a good side. That's a side that could beat Edinburgh, I think. We've got our tails up. We're playing decent rugby. I think, I can't believe I'm saying this as a Dragons fan, but I think our scrummage might actually hold up a bit.
Well, it did in pre-season. And I'll drive them more. It is pre-season, so it does come with a caveat, but it looked quite solid, didn't it? It really did.
So who knows? I'm confident. I was really considering coming up to watch the game, and then I found out I was being selected to start on Saturday myself. So I'm.
Right. So I predicted an 8-point win to the Dragons, and I don't normally do that, by the way. So that's very optimistic of me, but I do think we've got enough to get the job done. What is your score prediction for this game, Gav?
I'm going to say Dragons by 4.
Yeah, that sounds more like it, doesn't it? Rather than 8.
We're going to win 21-17.
Yeah. We'll probably make ours work of it, won't we?
Oh, yeah. No, we'll be 21-8 up with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Dragons' way, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then we'll ship points, and then the last 5 minutes will be just dogged defence.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, you're probably right. So there we are then. I think we've covered a lot of bases tonight. It was great to speak to Rynard, and we've got through quite a bit with Wales and Dragons. Unless there's anything else, Gav, you want to add before we...
Well, I just wanted to talk Gwent side very briefly.
Oh, of course. Sorry. The Gwent Rugby Roundup. Yeah, please do.
No, it's... So I mainly want to focus on the Indigo Premiership, which is very Gwent heavy in the top 4.
Yeah.
Vale top after their 25-17 win over Llandovery, who had been previously top. Pontypool went to the Wern and beat Merthyr 22-20. They're in second, and then Newport beat Aberavon very convincingly 31-8, and they're in fourth with a game in hand. So, wherever the elite rugby league next season looks like, if it isn't heavily Gwent represented, it won't be anything to do with performance, because our clubs are doing very well in the most competitive semi-pro league in Wales. Yeah, in the Championship, Newbridge are third. Not many games on the weekend. Cross Keys won at home against Beddau. They won 28-24. Bedwasker absolutely mullered a sadly dog in Penalta 1955. They lost at home. As you would expect in Division 1 East, it's very Gwent heavy. Bryn Mawr top, Talwyn second. Your old team, Anstey, are third place, but only the one game. Pontypool United lost to Monmouth. And then there's lots of Gwent representatives all the way down the league. Ablairi Blaenau Gwent, atop Division 2 East, Cumbraen second. Abercarn, atop of Division 3. Terrible place to go and play Abercarn. Always cold, always, God, just constantly wet. And Machen, and then Division 4, Newport Saracens, Crumlin atop. Division 5, Pontland Fife and Abersychan, and Hartridge are second in Division 6. So Gwent teams are doing well in all the leagues at the moment.
Excellent. Cheers for that, Gav. Just before we go as well, don't forget that we are on Facebook. We are on Twitter or X, whichever you want to call it. So please follow us there. We're on Spotify. So if you could please follow and rate us. Tell your mates, if you've got any Dragon supporting mates, please guide them to the pod and rate us, because it really does help us. Right, I believe that's it. Thank you very much, Gav, as always.
And thank you, Jamie. And thank you to Rynard, who was a wonderful guest.
Yeah, brilliant. I really enjoyed that. And we'll speak again next week. Take care now.
Thank you for listening to the Dragons Lair podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question is, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.